In this act, there are 5 agents that have a dramatically higher win rate than most of the other agents in the game. We're going to be breaking down all 5 of these and giving you targeted tips on how you can quickly utilize them to dominate your lobbies. But if you're really looking to climb, we basically simplified the process for you with our brand new wall hacks course. It's basically going to tell you every single common position players like to play on every single map and how they'll look to reposition throughout the rounds so that you can essentially track players through walls. It sounds complicated, but we make it all simple to remember with a couple of easy tricks that our coaches have put together through their years of experience. Any one of you could be a game sense god. All you need is the right tools, which are available for you over at SkillCapped. Don't believe us? We got a rank improvement guarantee, so if you don't climb, you don't pay. More of this at the end of the video. Now, the first character that we actually got to talk about is Phoenix at a 49.9% win rate. And you might be like, Mills, why is a character that doesn't even have a 50% win rate in the top 5 agents with the highest win rates? And the reality of it is, most agents have a lower than 50% win rate. Because of the inclusion of draws, there are actually 4 agents, period, that have a positive win rate across ranks, which is pretty crazy when you think about it, and Phoenix is still in that top 5. Now, why is Phoenix doing so well in ranked for a character that just doesn't see any pro play? Well, we actually know, due to Riot telling us the win rates for certain characters behind the scenes, Phoenix's win rate actually rises as you go up in rank, with him having one of the highest win rates in Radiant, which is very strange to think about a character that you would imagine as he gets closer to pro play, he gets worse and worse considering his pro pick rate, but that's actually not the case. You see, in a lot of ways, Phoenix is actually the perfect agent because he has such a diverse suite of abilities that all feel like they could be attached to different characters. Flashes that are very duelist-centric, smokes that are very controller-centric, mollies and his information gathering ultimate that feels very initiator-esque. You combine it all together, and Phoenix is the character with the most fluid identity out of probably every agent in the entire game. He doesn't fit into a tiny little box, good at one specific thing and bad at a whole bunch of others. He's good at just about everything, and he can get value in just about every game. But that really comes to bite him when you're playing specifically in pro play, where you would rather have 5 people do a very, very specific job. Basically, Phoenix often gets overlooked because he's not popping off in pro play, but the specific way that they built Phoenix means that he probably won't be popping off in pro play, but he still is dominating ranked, and a character that you should 100% not overlook. Now, the next character, finally at a 50% win rate, we have Killjoy. And Killjoy is a character that has been particularly powerful for quite some time, and that doesn't look to change anytime soon. There are a lot of maps where just having a Killjoy on your team gives you such a huge advantage on defense that it's freaking ridiculous. And she's maintained her position as one of the strongest meta characters for quite some time for a reason. Now, one of the things that you have to figure out your specific playstyle on Killjoy is what you plan to do on offense on the character. Because defense, that's pretty cut and dry. There are things that you can do and learn, and you do those pretty much every single game. But on offense, it's much more flexible. And there's a couple of things that you could do on the character. Number 1, you can set up your turret in a position that's going to deny flank, which is literally one of the best things that you can do, especially if you're planning to push a point aggressively, or even if you're playing default for a good amount of time. Having an anti-flank turret that is not going to be disabled when you leave its effective range, depending on where you imagine you're going to play, very, very solid. In addition to that, one of the things that's super strong is just using your nanoswarms aggressively so that you can clear certain cubbies, making it so that the engagement onto a point aggressively is just going to be easier for your team. Now, the last thing that you need to understand about Killjoy is you will naturally be put in a clutch up situation a lot on offense. After you get that spike down, after people trade out, maybe you put your nanoswarms on post plant, maybe you were just playing default denying flank for a while, you will often put yourself in a situation where you are last man standing and you could be in like a 1v2, for instance. And in that situation, you want to make sure that you properly recalled your cooldowns and you're utilizing your turret to better help you clutch up the round. Don't be dry peek swinging use your turret for information, swing off of its contact. I don't necessarily need you to always be popping off and winning every clutch, but if you die in a clutch with a stack full of abilities that you just haven't used, then what are you freaking doing? And we all know that Killjoy is an agent who provides insane value if you know the right setups and how to mix them up, and that's why we actually gone ahead and given players both info and blender setups that they can abuse on every map to start dominating matches today. And Killjoy is our personal favorite pick for climbing at a low elo, so if you're looking to skyrocket in rank today, be sure to check it out. Now the next agent that we actually have for you is Sage at a 50.1% win rate. Now this might seem a little bit crazy because a lot of people are disregarding Sage, and even in our very own tier list, we put her rather low based on her pro pick rate in the meta at large, and the fact that Icebox is not even in the map pool right now, which is one of her best maps. And while all those things are true, the thing that you need to understand about Sage is she brings the game, especially the ranked game, back to a simpler form of Valorant. What I mean by that is simply denying a push, denying a rush with a wall, with a slow. It's going to get you way more value in a ton of games than just about anything else. I've talked about this concept before, but essentially the lower in rank you are, simply stopping a rush and forcing them to rotate alone is going to win you so many rounds. And the way that I prove this is I want to ask you the question, how many times have you and your team tried to rush, it didn't work, you tried to rotate off, and not everyone rotated off? Maybe 2 of you rotated, 3 of you rotated, the rest stayed and they died. Or while you're rotating, you get flanked and you died. And most of the time, the odds that all 5 of you pivot off, all get to the other site, and actually make it there, it's very unlikely. And you know this from experience. So just having a character that has some of the best stalling abilities in the game, already a huge boon. Not to mention that wall can be used in a lot of other ways, like splitting off a side, getting a plant down. It's versatile on attack and defense, and you can use it for mix-ups in the way that you're peeking angles. Now, if that was it alone, Sage wouldn't have a positive win rate, but it's not. And heal is still a very strong ability. Using it on yourself, using it on a teammate. It's very strong, very reliable, really good for ecos, where eco is one of the most important rounds in the game that has a huge economic implication for many rounds down the line, and you're gonna win a lot more of them just because you can heal 1 or 2 people throughout the course of a round. But last up, I do have to talk about the most important thing, which this is especially true in ranked play. Rezes are value, and they're not difficult value to access. There's a lot of ultimates that need to be set up perfectly and need to be properly executed, and there are really high highs and really low lows of impact, right? But Rez, unless you're like doing it in front of like 3 people for some reason, you're gonna get value out of it. You're gonna win rounds out of it. You're gonna have good economy with it. You're gonna clutch up more rounds with it. Rez is one of the most guaranteed value sources out of any ultimate that exists. It's not a mixed bag where you have to use it particularly well. And the harder you pop off on Sage, the more and more reses you'll get. And the more reses you get, just the more of the overall game you carry, economy-wise, clutch-up-wise, tempo-wise. I mean, these all kind of come together to make Sage a really phenomenal ranked powerhouse. So just because this character doesn't seem like a meta pick when we analyze the pro matches or anything like that, don't disregard her, because she's still a very strong ranked pick. Now we're moving on to the top 2, and the first one we got to talk about is Reyna at a 50.2% win rate. Now we all know how much Reyna is picked, but it's surprising that Reyna has such a high win rate, and you got to ask yourself why. And there's a lot of things about Reyna that just make her a really solid solo carry agent. The character that allows you to potentially put an entire lobby on your back, taking multiple duels over and over again, not to mention in a very similar way that we talked about with Sage, freaking eco rounds on Reyna are just unlike anything else. I mean, Reyna probably has such a huge advantage on eco compared to any other character, and if you get that initial kill with a rush or whatever the case may be, you're just going to be able to dominate every eco that you come across. And that's just going to have huge implications for your economy down the line. Because with Reyna, you could just destroy pistol round. Then you get to buy up on eco, get all your eco frags. Now you got freaking ult. You go into that 3rd round, they're buying rifles. You incorporate a rush flash strategy with your ultimate. And if you manage to kill people there, then yeah, you just won the whole freaking half. Like, it's over. Like, it's just freaking over. You upgrade to their rifles and they're poor. And yeah, you just snowball out of control and GG. And I also think that Reyna kind of falls into the camp here with Sage and Phoenix as a character that people just kind of write off as a meme character or disregard it because it's not played in the elusive pro play. But for the vast majority of players, who cares about what is being played in pro play when Reyna is winning games in every rank right now? Comparatively to all the other agents in the game, Reyna's dominating. And another thing that can't really be understated is Reyna's ability to turn an economic disadvantage or even like a numbers disadvantage into an advantage. This is what I would call the comeback X factor, right? Reyna can do that better than just about anyone else. Like, let's say you're on a pistol round, you're saving, you're up against an entire team with rifles, and you're rocking that sheriff. You could literally get one kill, get full shields, get your vandal from their freaking corpse, and utilize that to just dominate and just like kill the entire enemy team. You can do things like that on this character. So it's not just like only your rifle rounds or only your buy rounds or situations where you can pop off and carry. Every round is. And because Reyna gets to constantly refresh and reset, it doesn't matter how much utility, random damage you're taking, you can constantly get back to a full fighting force, a full health, full HP, full armor, and then retake a new duel. And if you win that, you get to retake a new fresh duel. And the idea here is that Reyna just gets to convert every bit of your fundamentals, your mechanical skill, and your game instinct into RR. And that's freaking insane for an agent to be able to do. Now, granted, you don't actually need crazy aim to frag out on Reyna though, which is the weird thing, and a lot of top Reynas incorporate certain strategies that allow them to climb very quickly. And in our new Reyna course, we isolate every concept that you need to climb in around 10 minutes, so make sure you check it out in the links down below. The last but certainly not least character with the highest win rate in ranked play out of every agent in the game, 50.4, is Brimstone. And there's a lot I gotta talk about Brimstone, but of course you already know the first thing is the stall denial. We already went over that in detail, and it still applies to Brimstone exceedingly well. Both Smokes and Molly very good at denying a stall, but there's other things about Brimstone that just makes him such a good agent to climb with. The first thing is he's always consistent and reliable. You don't have to have complex knowledge to fill the Brimstone and still do your job. He's a very streamlined character where the smokes are very intrinsic. You know, you just get to put them on the pad, you get to throw them down, and they're also really easy to utilize them in diverse ways. If you need to use them to smoke off a spike that's down and grab it and take a TP, if you need to use it to deny LOS of an opper and push up and take space, if you need to use it to make a one-way or deny a push, there's a lot of different situations where a Brimstone smoke is very quick and very easy to use, and it's easier to use dynamically than a lot of other smokes are. Now, in addition to that, Brimstone also immensely helps with rushes. Being able to stim beacon his team in, especially when we're talking about a simplified version of Valorant where there's not a lot of advanced strats being used. There's just a lot of rushing and there's a lot of trades, right? But being able to smoke off the important sight lines, rush your team onto the objective, and then play a nasty post plant is just like the golden recipe to win rounds. Like, it's not necessarily the flashiest thing in the world, but it's consistent and it's reliable and it will get you up the ranks very freaking quickly. Now, the other thing that can be a little daunting on Brimstone is learning the lineups, but if you do, it's just so freaking powerful. But no one got time to learn all that stuff, but that's exactly why we did the work for you of studying the best Brimstone players and compiling their lineups into an insane 100 lineup playbook over at the SkillCapped website. So finding lineups is one of the most tedious things to do in this game, and if you want to start winning free matches, do yourself a favor and check out the course today. But thank you so much for coming by. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.